Every successful business has a story that people know and another that people don't. The late nights, the tears, the sweat, the mistakes, the failure, the wins, the success stories. To uncover all of these decisions, challenges, and breakthroughs that actually drive growth, Ecobank Nigeria presents to you Scaling Up. We're bringing together founders, creators, and industry leaders to have honest conversations about what it really takes to build, grow, and scale. No fluff, no filters, just practical stories and insights that you, yes, you can actually use. So get ready to learn, be inspired, and hear the stories and journeys behind these brands. Scaling Up, powered by Ecobank. Everybody loves creativity. The exhibitions, the music, the fashion, the architecture, the experience, the art, and the visible beauty of culture. But not everyone truly understands what it takes to convert culture into business. The risk, the vision, the infrastructure, the system, the curation, the pressure of making creativity commercially viable. Because for many creatives, the question isn't, can I create? The real question is, can I build something profitable without losing what made it meaningful in the first place? Welcome to Scaling Up, powered by Ecobank Nigeria. I'm your host, Maima, and on this podcast, we sit with Africa's most influential builders, leaders, and creators as we unravel what it takes to sustain growth, impact, influence, and longevity. And today's conversation is one that really lingers in the hearts of many entrepreneurs. Passion versus profit. Can artists have both? And honestly, I can't think of a better person to have this conversation with than our guest today. Today's guest is not just a creative entrepreneur. He is a cultural builder who has spent years, dedicated time and energy into creating platforms where art, design, fashion, and culture don't just exist, but also generate value. From Windsor Gallery to Nahouse, he has consistently challenged how creativity is experienced, consumed, and monetized. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Vedelago. You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm just going to dive right into it.
Of course.
Before Nahouse, before Windsor Gallery, before building cultural platforms, what did your early relationship with creativity actually look like?
I think being an entrepreneur kind of forces you to be creative in the way that you see sort of your broader context of like how you go about building businesses, opportunities. So I guess like sort of creativity has always been there. I've always sort of played around with different concepts, different ideas, and trying to develop that into something that could actually mean something and could add value to our environment, really. So I guess creativity, once you're an entrepreneur, I think that's kind of your calling to be creative and to find solutions to a lot of the problems that we face on the continent.
Interesting. What were the early days like for you?
Just coming up with different concepts, how to make a glass better. Like, I guess, that's the sort of the whimsical nature of what it means to be an entrepreneur. You always think you can do something better, or you can find a different opportunity, or make that sort of product into something else. So whether it's changing the shades of blue on a pair of sunglasses and thinking that that's the new concept that could sort of shift the culture. No, I've had a lot of fun. I've been very fortunate to be able to try a lot of different businesses through my journey and kind of have a lot of fun with it. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but that's the whole sort of aspect of what it is.
Interesting. Was there a specific moment where you realized that art wasn't just an expression, it could actually become an infrastructure?
Yeah, look, I mean, I used to live in the Ivory Coast, and so yeah, my real sort of engagement with African art, it was really there. Was seeing sort of a real gallery structure, sort of permeate in Ivory Coast and get to experience their own points of view. And so when I started looking at it, and I thought to myself, wow, well, this is really interesting, and I think, how come I don't know about this? And I'm in Nigeria, and it's only 3 countries away.
Yeah.
I mean, how am I not really aware of like the sort of burgeoning contemporary art scene that's happening in the Ivory Coast, let alone Ghana, let alone Togo. So when I sort of started looking at it, and I just thought to myself, I think we need to have a bigger conversation here. I think if we're really going to keep and create value for both the artists, both our culture, and ourselves on the continent, I think it was important for us to start understanding how we can build this infrastructure to allow for conversations to permeate, through an open border discourse.
A lot of artists fear that once money enters the room, creativity changes. Do you think passion and profit are naturally in conflict?
No, I mean, you think about some of the biggest marketing sort of campaigns that you see are still sort of attached to some of the biggest commercial brands. If you look at something like Nike, Nike have now started doing all these drops for the World Cup, right? With different sort of creative houses. These, it just depends how you look at it and what sort of the approach you have to money. If you are money centric, then money will be the ultimate goal, right? But if you're creative centric and you create spaces for that conversations to happen, I don't think money should change or would change. If you have the passion to want to continuously create and think outside the box, then why should money should only allow you to achieve those creative sort of milestones that are a little bit out of the box sometimes. But I don't think that money really has. I think it's more to do with the person.
Okay, so riding on what you said about if you're either money centric or you're creative centric. Now, for those who are creative centric, do you think that sometimes artists that are creative centric romanticize struggle and avoid treating creativity like a serious business? Because you see some artists, they can be really, really, for lack of a better word, unserious. But then they're churning out really good art every now and then. So do you think they do the whole struggle thing so that they can avoid treating their creativity like a serious business?
I think in any context, we find ways to find unaccountability, right? So as you said, it might be easier to romanticize this idea of us struggling. Or maybe, sometimes the infrastructure isn't built to allow people to really scale up, but you kind of have to fight for it, right? And some people are like, why should I have to fight on two fronts? Or why, everything should be, there's a lot of entitlement that comes in. Some people feel that, okay, because I'm an artist or I'm creative or I'm this way inclined, I shouldn't have to fight on the business front. But I think it's all about balance, really. At the end of the day, it's about finding the right balance of understanding the different conversations that you have to have in different rooms. And sometimes being creative means that you have to have money conversations, and and vice versa. Sometimes money conversations are like, okay, how do we make ourselves cooler? And then you have to now go towards the creative fronts to find ways of, creating a better messages that engages with your audience.
Interesting. Now we understand that art as a form of expression also has passion really entwined in it. So do you think that passion alone can sustain an artist in our economy today?
I don't think passion can sustain anything.
Okay.
Idris. Passion is based on a moment, right? You feel that energy.
Yes.
So how are you gonna? If I was to feel passionate every single minute of my day, I think I'd be pretty exhausted by the end of the day. So I think having the passion to want to do something and then focusing on that thing to achieve that thing, I think those are key ways of managing your outlet, right? And I think just because you have this creative outlet, everything is about management, everything is about control, everything is about sort of putting together why, okay, I'm going to be sitting down and working on this art piece today. You focus and you get that done. That's why you kind of have different mediums of art have different blockages associated to it, whether it's writer's block, all these other things. So when we really think about it, yes, passion can't sustain, nothing can sustain everything because then you're going to get worn out.
True, well said. Now we're moving to your angle, which is basically about building ecosystems. Now, house is more than a gallery. I mean, I was there recently and I was like, wow. And then I love plants. And then there's this plant artsy installation that you guys have there. And then you can see the fashion side and you can go further. There's the restaurant and everything. So it's more than it's art, it's design, it's hospitality, it's nightlife, it's performance, and it's fashion. You've basically built an ecosystem. Why do you think it's important to be able to put all of this into expressing art as a form?
For me, the real crux of everything that I do sort of within these sort of the cultural spaces, the real art form is conversation. And whichever medium you take to achieve that, I think that's the most important thing. I've always felt that we don't talk enough. We don't talk enough about how we are as a people. We don't talk enough about our culture. Well, now we do because it's convenient to.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun too.
We're at the top of the spectrum now, right? So it's cool to kind of like it's like being an Arsenal supporter today, right? So you're gonna hear that they want to talk the league for the next 10 minutes, you know. So, but I think yeah, the scope is that I've always wanted to create conversation through fine arts, conversations through fashion, conversations through gastronomy, conversations through design, photography. And so Now House really is a foundation, and it is a space that people can have conversations, can engage with different sort of mediums, can engage with different points of view, and keep conversations ongoing. And that's why we've always had a super high rotation period at Now House to get people to continuously keep discourse, keep dialogue, keep conversation. And I think do it in a way that's a bit contemporary, a bit more sort of avant-garde than what you would normally find at the Windsor Gallery, which is a little bit more fine arts, a little bit more, you know, more structured. But I get to have a lot of fun with That House, experiment, push different things. We did this beautiful installation on, and some people walked in and they thought it was like some ritual place.
There's a part, there's that part. I told my friend, I'm like, we can actually do a ritual here, you know. There's that part in That House.
It was, but it's, again, whatever conversation, whatever the feeling was, it was that they took something away from it. And I think that's interesting. It's always interesting to challenge different points of view and different sort of cultural realities, and just kind of like, you know, have some fun with it. Nothing is ever that serious.
Real.
Until you're kidnapped and
no, that's real. That's
real.
That's real. The future of creative profitability, do you think it's bigger than just selling art?
It's massive. It is.
Why?
Everything from merchandising to prints to sort of how we go about books, you know, visual arts. It's a massive market.
So it transcends just selling the painting or the artwork.
It transcends everything. This is what we're sitting here. We're talking about culture, right?
Yes.
This can be monetized, right? You know, so all these additional sort of different conversations, there's different mediums, there's different, you know, teacups with your favorite artist, all the way from, you know, there's a lot of things to really build from a cultural economy point of view, and I think, you know, this is where we are going to see sort of this reverence of how we scale up and how we actually have parallel conversations across different mediums. We did a beautiful exhibition, sort of activation with Anthony Zekwa, who's this beautiful sort of digital artist. And we did these limited edition print runs with him, and they sold out in the space of 2 days. And you know, there was more engagement, and, you know, of course that opened the eyes to how prints and digitization really is applied and can be developed into all these other sort of mediums. And, you know, of course, it's an interesting sort of opportunity here for people to start understanding really that we can take this to somewhere else that I don't even think the West has been able to develop in the way that we should be able to develop it here on the continent.
Awesome. Have you ever felt pressure to make creativity more commercial in a way that challenged your artistic instincts?
Yeah, every end of the month when I have to pay rent and salaries.
Operational costs, I know.
Every end of the month.
How can we make more money?
Every end of the month. I'm not even gonna lie. Every end of the month, I'm ready to sell my soul. Like it's really bad. And then I think about the artist, and I'm like, nah, let's give it one more month.
Fair enough. How do you know when monetization is helping creativity and when it's beginning to dilute creativity? I
think again, it's the point of view. When you have too many people copying the same thing, and I think that is the real killer of creativity. You know, I think, you know, this idea that, you know, there aren't structures to kind of get people to think independently and to feel creativity from their own person and to have that point of view. Look, putting out a body of work is not the easiest thing in the world. You're sharing yourself, a piece of yourself with the audience, right? So when you really think about that, it's kind of like a little bit disheartening when you kind of like see people really just copying. And I think that's really when you start kind of understanding, yeah, there's probably too much emphasis on the money now that someone's like, I need to copy this guy to make the sale that would allow me to make money in the space. So I think that's really it. I think for where we're seeing now, there's more and more galleries in Lagos, which is great.
Yes.
So it gives people more platforms, more opportunity. There aren't enough collectors, unfortunately. So again, that creates a massive sort of saturation in how we're able to get people to want to continuously support the art space and invest in the art space. So it's all a balancing act, but I think ultimately more spaces, more opportunities, more money, and more opportunities for people to stay creative.
True. Have you ever said no to money because it did not align with your vision?
I'm Nigerian. I never say no to money. So part of my Niger side is just like, nah, no. I think you have to sometimes understand what the value is, and it's not about just your todays. I've always looked at things from a long-term point of view. If it aligns with the vision and it helps with the vision and it helps me achieve what I want to achieve, then yeah, let's have a conversation. But just for the sake of, okay, just making a quick buck today, I don't think that that's ever been in my nature. So it's never really been something, whether it's for the culture or for not the culture, but it's not in my nature. So I've always been able to identify sort of opportunities that add value to the bigger picture.
When your daily operations feel stuck in the 90s, you know you are not scaling. Founders don't need counters, slips, or delays. They need speed, structure, and visibility. That's why we built Ecobank Business, designed for SMEs and startups that don't have time for friction. Track every inflow and outflow in real time. Manage invoices and pay bills from one dashboard. No more switching banks or juggling apps, just seamless control. Stop operating manually. Start operating like a modern business. Ecobank Business, your growth partner. Download the Ecobank Business app today and power your next move.
You work at an intersection of artists and buyers. What makes people, in your experience and in all of your interactions, what makes people actually pay for creativity?
I would probably say the way they connect with the work. And I think it's our responsibility to create an environment for people to connect independently with the work. It's not for me to tell you what the work means. I think the most important thing is creating spaces that allow people to feel free to be able to have an opinion and to connect. And I think that's the way it is. Everybody connects so very differently based on their journey, their history, their upbringing of how they connect with the piece. And there's no wrong answer. It's just how you feel about it. And I think that's the thing, creating that feeling and that space.
I was at an exhibition recently, and then they had the artists explaining basically what the thought process, because they had a theme, something about sustainable art and stuff like that. And so they had like the artists talking about, do you think that do you think that might corrupt how a person might interact with anybody's work, or do you think that storytelling angle to it might also help with how a person interacts
how
with
they interpret it?
Yeah.
Look, I think it's important for an artist to explain how he got there.
Okay.
But I think the greatest questions are how you allow the audience to connect with it. Whether thematically or whether based on the medium, whatever it is that you feel the right angle is to let that person connect with it. I think that's ultimately the end goal of every artist. If you think about something like a Mona Lisa, right? It took 35 years to paint. We still don't know what the question is. Is it a boy or is it a girl? Even though there wasn't a whole sort of back end story about it. And I think that's that understanding of what you see is what it is. I think that's where that real sort of sentiment of what art is.
You said previously that inclusion is different from ownership. Do you think African creatives still struggle with owning value in global markets?
Yeah, because it's not controlled by us. So that's going to be always a real tough reality for African artists to really have an infrastructure that protects them, that is for them. That's what we're trying to build ultimately,
Yes.
So that we can keep artists on the continent. We can advocate and fight. If you don't have anybody fighting for you, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to derive value, to be part of a conversation. Because you will always be marginalized because you're just a product and you're just there to cater to profits of somebody else that's not from where you are.
How do you think artists can stop being visible but not truly profitable? So we know a lot of artists, a few of them, but they're not really profitable. How do you think they can mitigate that?
The research that's associated to the body of works that they do Look, the journey of being an artist is not as straightforward to money. One, a lot of the big artists that we're now seeing sell for hundreds of millions of dollars at auction. You know, these people didn't see that hundreds of millions of dollars when they were alive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of our time, a lot of our artists want to get to that money as quickly as possible, which is understandable because you got to pay rent, you have your living costs, you have your other things, but there are other realities associated to it. If we're sort of getting in and we're kind of, you know, stagnating because we're trying to bring as much products to the market as possible, it makes it very, very difficult for you to create value. Value is done over time. Value is done where ups and downs. Then don't forget the journey is just like, think about it from a lateral sort of sense of crude oil, for example. There's some days cruise at 120, there's some days cruise at 60.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to stay up at 120 without understanding that some days you're going to have to sell something that is of value to survive and to keep it moving. And that's how values derive momentum.
What does ownership look like for creatives today?
I think ownership of ideas, that's the most powerful tool to have. If you're free to own your ideas, we're not under some dictatorship, we're not under some regime, we're not under some, you know, we have the freedom today to think and to be as expressive as we want. And I think that is probably the most powerful tool that we have to have today. Everything else is structural. Everything else, just get a good lawyer. You want to do an exhibition contract, you want to have your trademarking done, you want to just get a good lawyer. But everything else, the freedom of thought is probably the most powerful thing that we have today.
In your opinion, what do you think separates creative hype from creative legacy?
Ooh. I mean, there's a lot of hype around certain things at this moment in time. And I think, again, it's I guess, the target audience. You know, I guess the people that kind of hype things up for the sake of hyping it because they feel, you know, we live in a social media era where our consumption of information is on a second-by-second basis, right?
Yeah.
So I think legacy work is work that's, you need to sit down and have a deeper sort of understanding on what the body is and what that represents. It's something that's not just a consistent rollout every 5 seconds, same subject, same. There are a lot of artists, I'd rather not say who.
You can drop one or two.
No, it's fine. It's okay. I'll try and keep it as as political as possible. No, but I think today the most important thing is bodies of work. I think there are a lot of artists that I respect massively, and again, the conversation that they're trying to have. I think these are deeper questions. But you know, it's everything is based on the time, I guess, the era. There are a lot of artists that I don't connect with, but I mean, a younger audience might connect with them, you know, or because they feel that that's in tune. Whether or not that merits sort of that conversation later on is up for debate, but it's not really just one person that will define that. But I mean, you know, there's things that we might call hype, that we might not see the benefit in, but maybe in 20 years from now, that might be relevant. So I try not to jump into sort of quick assumptions or conclusions. I just kind of leave it. Let the audience, because you know that's ultimately who decides what is what. Yep.
Awesome. So Richard Vedelago, Nahals, Windsor, in the next 2-3 decades, what do you want to be remembered for?
Shifting the needle. I think that's the ultimate conversation. Did we shift it? Did we create spaces that allowed people to think differently? Did we allow people to connect with a subject or a conversation? I mean, I think, you know, 20, 30 years is a long time to be around in a specific subject, but I mean, I'm massively proud that I'm curating Venice in 2028 for the Nigerians. Yeah, nice. So that's a massive responsibility and something that I'm massively proud about, to be able to lead the Nigerian pavilion at Venice in 2028. Is something that I think anybody who wants to shift the needle, there's no greater platform to be able to do that on the global stage. So that in itself is something that I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully I can make the Nigerians proud.
We're counting on you.
And hopefully that will also, you know, allow people to engage with the conversation that I want to have. Awesome. That I think that's important for us as a people, as a culture, as a nation, to want to put out there. And it comes back to ownership. So hopefully we can shift the needle again and keep doing so on a day by day, month by month, year by year basis. And we just, we hope that we can keep it moving.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're moving to rapid fire now. So this is basically you just answering what pops into your head.
Okay.
Not overthinking. You've been doing so well so far, so I trust you.
This is the moment where everything goes.
Speak from the heart.
That's what my pastor keeps telling me.
Awesome. Okay, let's go. Passion or profit?
Passion.
Art or business?
Art.
Talent or systems?
Systems.
Visibility or ownership?
Ownership.
Collectors or community?
Community.
Luxury or accessibility?
Luxury.
Scale or intimacy?
Scale.
One thing artists undervalue most?
Time.
One thing audiences misunderstand about art?
That is not their own thought.
Can you elaborate on that?
Audiences think that they go into look at an art exhibition with a predefined sort of thematics associated, that I have to think this way or this is what I'm going into. They don't understand that they have the full power to think about anything the way they want to think about it.
Would you ever say no to you check? He said no.
Did you have one for me?
Creative freedom or financial security?
Creative freedom.
But you don't mind financial security?
Well, you have to have creative freedom to have financial security.
One thing every young creative needs to learn.
Ups and downs. And managing that. Nothing is. A lot of people sometimes take failure as a sort of a character flaw or a character or part of it. Like, oh, why should I? No, it's just part of it. Ups and downs. There are days that you win. There are days that you
lose.
But the whole thing. One of my favorite sort of people once told me is that you'll do your P&L at the end of your life. So just because you lost money today doesn't mean you will not make money tomorrow. And ultimately, like, the great thing with sort of money and everything else is, like, why chase something that will never run out? Money is man-made, it's printed, so why are we so obsessed with it? Focus on structuring and maintaining, and focus on the journey. The journey is what will lead you to the ultimate reward. One of my favorite quotes is a Winston Churchill quote, which I think is a really sort of poignant sort of way of looking at life, which is success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And that idea of just wanting to wake up every day, regardless of what yesterday's outcome was, but to keep it moving and to keep on trying. And that's the real success of life, someone that just hasn't given up.
Thank you. Last but not the least, what does scaling up mean to you personally?
Creating more spaces for people to want to participate and learn about the culture.
Thank you very much. This has been such an insightful session. And that's all on today's episode of Scaling Up, powered by Ecobank Nigeria. A very big thank you to our guest, Richard Vedelago, as he shared insightful nuggets on how we can take ownership of our culture and also ensure that we create spaces where we're able to transmit our culture properly and adequately. I'm very sure that when you apply these nuggets into your life, you will definitely witness your life scale up. Until next time, I remain your host, Maima. Do take care.